Okay, quick video for myself, Harvey Goldman. So, before I start this video, go and grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe a couple of digestives, maybe 5 or 6, and definitely get yourself a pack of anodine and possibly your tinfoil hat. You are probably going to need it after this video. However, let me preface this by saying I don't think that it's unfounded. Hear me out. So, long story short, I bank with NatWest. That's one of the banks that I use for my business banking. I very rarely use the app, perhaps once or twice a month, just to see that invoices have been paid, and that's it. I log in, check the money's there, log out, job done. About a week ago, I logged into it, and there were some new options. So I had a little click around, as you do, and I can see that NatWest are now, I guess, means scoring me against the amount of carbon that I use based on where I spend my income grouped into certain activities. So, firstly, why are they doing this? It seems pointless because nobody is going to, for example, look at NatWest, look at the app and go, right, I've spent, say, £200 on Botox this month. Based on what NatWest and that algorithm have decided, perhaps if you spent £200 on Botox that month, that might be, I don't know, maybe a kilo of carbon. And that is a kilo of carbon that you've spent in the health and beauty section of the app. It might be that if you've gone and bought groceries, perhaps at Lidl, perhaps at M&S, perhaps somewhere far posher, based on the amount of money that you've spent, again, you might have done £300 at Lidl over the month. That might say that you've done a ton of carbon, whatever it might be. And here's the first part of the problem there. So the algorithm appears to work based on amount of money that you've spent versus the category that you've spent it in. So based on that, has somebody that spent maybe £250 at Waitrose and got, X amount of shopping, have they spent more carbon credits, as it were, than someone that's done the same amount of money at Lidl and got a lot more shopping for their money? Because surely if it's based on money spent, then those two values are the same. But it could be argued that the person that's shopping at Waitrose is probably going to come away with 1.5 bags of shopping for 100 quid, or, maybe a trolley for 250. Whereas the person that shops at Lidl might be able to do 3 weeks worth of shopping, or maybe if they're frugal, an entire month, which would in mass be considerably more. So I don't see how that part of the algorithm works. I don't see how it can work effectively. And here's my problem. Here's the rub. Why are NatWest tracking this in the first place? Who thought this was a good idea to firstly display and track the amount that you're spending and where you're spending it? Um, but also, what's this end game? What's this going to be used for? Is there an end game? Is it just me going tinfoil hat? I don't think so. I think with all of this push with digital IDs and the push trying to get the digital pound as well, and now we started seeing carbon scores appearing on sandwiches for meal deals. And now we're seeing carbon scores and thresholds, more importantly, appearing on banking apps. This all seems like it ties in. So pop that anodine. This is where you need the tinfoil hat. So let's just imagine that in my NatWest app, I've gone to Lidl and I've done, I don't know, £100 on pastries and sweet goods. And maybe because it's tied into my digital ID, where my NHS app will also sit, and all of my credentials and history and everything else. Let's just say that I've got diabetes, or I've got heart condition, or maybe I'm just overweight. And then I go using my NatWest card to go to Waitrose to buy some pastry one morning, and it says that I can't do it because I've exceeded my carbon threshold. And if it doesn't say it because I've exceeded my carbon threshold, what if it says it because I'm diabetic and it's just not a sensible life choice to eat highly sugary foods if you've got diabetes? What if I'm overweight and it tells me that I'm only allowed to purchase a certain monetary amount of food each month, and that's their way of controlling my weight. It's really dark. I know it sounds bonkers, but this all seems like it kind of ties into one whole. You've got digital ID pulling everything together, including DVLA. Let's not forget that. There have been reports recently on YouTube and also on other media, and you can find these yourself. Just literally Google EV tracking update or EV geofence. Just type those words and you'll find the reports. People have taken their cars in. I believe it was a Kona, which I think might be made by either Hyundai or maybe Kia, one of those brands. Somebody took a Kona into a dealership, and the dealer did the service on the vehicle, and then without asking that person, they went and did an update on that car for the software. Now, that person, like myself, would normally just get into the car, and when you see there's an update, you just, yeah, press OK, get rid of it, and you drive off. That person actually had a day off work, apparently. They had a bit of time on their hands. They read through in their car on the infotainment screen 30 pages of waffle to find out what the update was. And the update they got on their vehicle was basically updating the car so it now contains geofencing. Now, if you don't know what geofencing is, geofencing is where your electronic item, whether it be a phone or maybe a wireless signal, an electric vehicle, whatever it might be, is ring fenced into a certain geographical area. So you go outside of that geographical area, the device won't work. Or it will send an alert to a body that monitors that device to tell them that you're going out of the geofenced area. I liken it to the technology that they've had for years, where prisoners have got tags. And what they do, they install a box, a bit like kind of this kind of size, in the released prisoner's home. And then they finish their sentence sort of geofenced inside the boundary of where they live. And I believe that they can go around their house, and I believe they can go into their garden, but any further and sort of, the alarm bells are ringing. And that's the same technology that's now been updated into this EV. Now, I've got an EV, and I can tell you now that if somebody put that on mine without asking me, without my consent to do so, I would say, right, you own the car now, so give me my money back. I find it absolutely mental. And it does seem that everything's now tying in, because with DVLA attached to your digital ID, well, they're going to know if you're going to Waitrose to buy pastries in the morning. So it might be that if that's your scheduled trip, if they know that every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, your NatWest card pings at the checkout, then 7:30 in the morning, maybe you'll go to your car and your car just won't start, so that you can't make that trip. You can't enhance your ability to, have heart disease or diabetes or make bad choices. And it seems horrible that all of these things are linking in. And as I said, it does sound really way out there. It sounds full blown tinfoil hat. It's not quite flat Earth levels of tinfoil hat, but it's pretty close. But I think this has got a real chance of actually coming to fruition. Sadly, I think that there is something darker afoot. And I wonder how long this has been in the making. I wonder, people do bang on frequently about the pandemic and the jabs that everybody was offered, voluntarily, although you had to have them to travel. There you go. That was all a test, that it was a test to see A, how stupid we are, B, how compliant we are, and see what they can get away with, how far they, the matrix, the government, the system, whatever you want to call it, how far they can kind of push that envelope without people rising up, without civil unrest, without people just saying, hell no. Um, and it all seems like it's now tying together. You've got NatWest, you've got carbon scores appearing on your food, NatWest are tracking your carbon, EV updates are geofencing your vehicle. And the weird thing with this geo update is that when the guy read further down, his car had the geofence added, and it said something, I'm probably paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of it would only be acted or enforced in accordance with the law. So watch this space. I fully believe that there will soon be a law coming out regarding geofencing on electric vehicles based on this. And it'd be interesting and also horrifying, I think, also to see how this ties in with everything else. So, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen this story? Have you heard about this gentleman that took his Kona in and had the geofencing? It does seem nuts. There was a video also. It was about, I want to say it was about 18 months, maybe 2 years ago. Could have been longer, but I think it's about 2 years. Katie Hopkins, and God knows I've loved her and I've hated her, and now I absolutely love her again. I think she genuinely is batshit bonkers, but also genuinely for the people. She did a video about 15-minute cities, and it's kind of gone in the media and out of the media all in the space of about 12 months. The kind of narrative around it has disappeared. But when you think about it, this kind of ties in with that as well, doesn't it? In a really dark way, cars are being geofenced. There is also talk of train tickets and bus tickets that are offering tracking as well. So you can be tracked now through your hop on, hop off points, through public transport. So I guess from my point of view, this video was a bit of a wake up call even to me. And it wasn't even to try and scare people. And I believe this whole thing, it isn't about one app on your phone or even about city design. I think it's more about how power and visibility and control of people is going to gradually shift more and more into our everyday lives. And whether you're part of the decision making clique or you're part of the observed, which I guess most of us are going to be, how is this going to affect you? If you accept a digital ID that is required for the essentials of life, things like work, things like housing, things like services, and you've not got robust safeguards and absolute transparency and absolute accountability, then we all shift from being a UK citizen to being essentially a profile with some biometrics attached. And then when profiles have the capacity to be scored on carbon, on mobility, on access, on ability to obtain their own money, then our freedom is 100% absolutely conditional. So the payoff to all of this really is that technology should be neutral. It should benefit us, but it should be neutral. There shouldn't be any one person or any one organization or even a government that's got the capacity to just go, bang, right, Goldman can't leave his garage today because he's fat and, he likes Lidl's donuts too much. That shouldn't be an option. I want to be able to make bad choices. And more importantly, I want to be able to learn from my own mistakes. I want to be able to make bad choices and know with full accountability that it was my decision, that it was my bad choice to make. Do you want a future where you're mollycoddled and you're tracked for your own convenience and safety, even though crime's on the rise everywhere? Or do you want one where we're free because we, don't necessarily trust the system? I know what I think. What do you think, though? Drop it in the comments, let me know. I'm really interested to find out if you've encountered any of the aspects of control or tinfoil hattedness that I've waffled on about in this video. Drop it below. Really keen to find out. YouTube is going to stick another video there. I'm going to go off and have a little cry. And yeah, there you go. Goldman. Peace out.